Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. Ebola. What a mess. No one, and I mean no one, should be allowed to enter the United States from any West African nation ravaged by Ebola. And any American citizen who goes there and wants to come home needs to be quarantined for 21 days until we figure out what we're doing. Look, we have a real problem. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I'm good with sending humanitarian aid to those in need. Fill up those C-130s with supplies and doctors and do those military transports. But guess what? At a certain point, you take priority over everyone else in the world. And when it comes to the health and security of your family and my family, everyone else takes a back seat. The fact that we're even having this discussion is insane. Now, we're told that it would be counterproductive to the economy of Liberia to stop flights from coming here. Really? Another country's economy is not the criteria to determine whether we put our families at risk. And trying not to offend the rest of the world, making nice so people won't be angry, or making other countries economically successful, and any other politically correct hogwash coming out of Washington be damned. Your job is to protect us. Take a listen.
First and foremost, I want the American people to know that our experts here at the CDC and across our government agree that the chances of an Ebola outbreak here in the United States are extremely low.
The world is less violent than it has ever been. It is healthier than it has ever been.
Right. And you can keep your doctor in your health care plan. Al-Qaeda's on the run, and ISIS is not Islamic. Come along with me and see if what I say makes sense. Thomas Duncan, Ebola man, lied to come here. Now, why did he need to come here? Did he know that after transporting a dying woman refused by a Liberian hospital and sent home to die, that he was then at risk? He is not a U.S. citizen. How is it that he can be granted a visa to come here in a matter of hours? And if our hospitals are all Ebola trained, why, after he told them that he came from Liberia, did the Dallas hospital send him home for yet another 3 days, during which time he became more contagious, vomiting around the apartment complex and exposing kids to the virus, who then go to school? And I should feel safe when the hospital today actually admitted that they lied when they said they didn't know he was from Liberia. Where's that so-called Ebola checklist that asks if you've traveled to an Ebola-infected country? And why did the nephew have to call the CDC? Because, quote, the hospital again wasn't taking the illness seriously. We're so prepared that officials didn't even attempt to sterilize that apartment for 5 days. And if we're so damn ready for this, why did the locals say not to worry? Only 12 or 18 people were in direct contact with him, when Dallas County said there were 80 and the CDC said, 100. And I should feel safe when, under a national spotlight, relatives sharing the same bathroom refuse to remain in isolation and instead send their children to school with yours. And why were men cleaning the vomit outside the apartment in T-shirts, sweeping the waste into the Dallas sewer system? Isn't there a protocol for destroying and transporting Ebola waste? Right now, thousands of Liberians come into this country every year. Why? Take a look at this map of Africa. Those countries highlighted deny entry to citizens of Ebola-ravaged countries. And take a look at this image of a Liberian soldier enforcing a quarantine so that their own countrymen do not come in contact with them. Yet our government minimizes the danger and also the means of transmission. Stop telling us it's just about the exchange of bodily fluids. Why didn't you tell us that the virus can last for hours on a surface like a doorknob or a countertop at the local coffee shop? And the head of the CDC, when asked if there should be more rigorous airport screening, says this: like any intervention, there are upsides and downsides. There are a lot of downsides. You slow travel. You end up costing people money. Who's going to get screened and who's going to train them? And if you have a positive, where are you going to bring them? If you have a positive, where are you going to bring them? You're the head of the CDC. Are you stupid? So you'd rather put us in danger. You're the head of the CDC. You find a place to put them and treat them. And then White House spokesman Josh Earnest says that screening procedures are in place at our border and people are screened as soon as they get here. Really? You're kidding, right? What's that? You're saying that because you don't want people to panic? You don't want us to panic. How about I don't want us to die? Tell us the truth for once. That's my open. Avi Selk from the Dallas Morning News joins me now with the latest. Good evening, Avi. Where is the family who lived in that same apartment with Duncan?
Last I heard, we don't know where they are at the moment. Yesterday, they were moved from the apartment where he fell ill and where they were confined for several days to an undisclosed gated house somewhere in Dallas County. I'm sure there's people trying to find that house right now.
Okay, so they're in a private home. Is that what you're saying?
That's what we were told. That's the public was told that they were moved to a private home.
Okay, and is the family's apartment the only one in that building that's being quarantined?
As far as I can tell, it's the only one that has a guard in front of it, or had a guard while they were there, making sure that nobody knocked and nobody came out. I've heard that there are other people who stayed with him while he's ill that have semi-voluntarily confined themselves to their own apartments in the neighborhood, but we don't know where those are.
All right. And how angry are people down there about the fact that he was sent home from the hospital and he was vomiting all over the parking lot in that apartment complex?
I've heard a report that he vomited in the parking complex. I haven't confirmed it to my satisfaction, but there's a lot of people who think that happened. If you're talking about Dallas generally, kind of the closer you go to the epicenter of this thing, the more nervous people are. You know, I'm in downtown Dallas where I live. People joke casually about it, or they're not talking about it at all, or they're in sort of a calm wait and see.
All right.
When you move into
Avi Selk, thanks so much for joining us. With me now, the executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, Mark Krikorian. All right, good evening, Mark. Why doesn't the United States have a travel ban on Ebola-infected countries?
I have no idea. I mean, literally, like you said in your opening, why are we even having this discussion? It seems to me it should have been the first thing we did. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to fix everything, but it's the first thing we should do. And look, these are three small countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea. It has no real effect on us if we do it. It's not as though we're banning travel, say, from Canada, which is a big country next door. Millions of people go back and forth. These are three little countries. Prohibiting travel from these places has no effect on us except with this disease. It may actually protect us. The idea that we are even having this debate is absurd.
And the quote from the White House said it would be counterproductive to the economy of Liberia when the risk is to Americans. I mean, what does it make you think? I
mean, you know, the thing is that President Obama is not president of the world. He's president of the United States. And I think there are too many people in this administration and, you know, in government in general who see themselves as kind of citizens of the world and their responsibility is to everybody everywhere, not to the people who actually put them there and pay their salaries. That's the point of the government, is to protect the American people first.
All right, and tell me about the visa process. It's my understanding that if you're in Liberia, you can actually get a visa in no time.
Well, it's I actually looked it up on the State Department website. You do have to submit the application a couple weeks ahead of time, but then in 2 business days, maximum 2 business days, you actually get the visa. The interview is like 2 minutes, 1 minute, something like that, is you interview with the person. So it's, it's actually not all that big a deal to get the visa. This guy got it, and in fact, from a Liberian newspaper report, it looks like he got it and then he quit his job once he got his visa, intending to come to the United States. So, I mean, there should be no visas issued. There should be no travel from that country to the United States, period, until the outbreak passes, and then we can start it up again. Look, Judge, a Democratic congressman, Congressman Grayson from Florida, 2 months ago, wrote to the State Department saying we need to ban travel from these countries pronto to protect the American people. And they didn't do it. This isn't even a partisan thing. This is a common sense, obvious step that this administration simply refuses to even consider.
Do you buy the argument that the administration is making that although they say that, these people are screened once they come through the border, which is hogwash to me, but they say there's plenty of opportunity for Ebola to come here, and therefore, closing off this country to Liberians who would travel here doesn't matter?
That's absurd. If there were that many opportunities, how come this is the guy, this is the first time we've seen it happen? And if we had had the travel ban in place when this Democratic Florida congressman demanded it 2 months ago, this guy wouldn't be here either. Because it's not like he snuck in from Mexico, and there are, mind you, significant number of people from these Ebola-affected countries illegally crossing, being caught by the Border Patrol. But this guy wouldn't have been able to come here. He's not some master criminal. He just got on a plane and came to the United States.
And what about the fact that he is here on a visa, assuming that he lives, although it appears he's in critical condition this evening, assuming that he lives and he does survive, I mean, his visa could be revoked and he could be sent back home for lying in Liberia, according to the president there, and also, for coming here having lied over there. I mean, could we send him back? Or
Of course we could, but you know what? I'm betting now, and this is on tape, so you can hold me to it. I think we're going to probably give him some kind of political asylum or something rather than send him home. I think that's actually pretty likely. We could send him home. Of course we can. He's a foreigner. He doesn't even have a green card. He's just a tourist who lied in order to get into the United States. But I don't think he's going to end up actually going back to Liberia.
Okay, and it's people are saying that this is he came here to marry his girlfriend, and yet it's his first time he's ever been in this country. So you have to wonder what the backstory is here. Mark Krikorian, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, and up next, parents up in arms over the failure by the CDC and the White House to act on Ebola before it's too late. And vote in tonight's Insta poll. Are you furious about Ebola now here in the United States? Facebook or tweet me at Judge Jeanine.